it's the next level.
Hey, my name is Ross Marquand, and I play Red Skull. You are listening to Panels to Pixels podcast. Check it out.
I'm Dr. Manhattan.
Obviously.
You're dubious.
Oh, I'm not dubious. I'm just wondering why the actual Dr. Manhattan is wearing a Dr. Manhattan mask.
I don't want to be recognized.
Is this a Zeus thing?
The Zeus thing?
The Greek god? In all the stories, he came down from Olympus trying to get laid, but he turned himself into a swan or something to blend in. I'm guessing you popped down here to Saigon from Mars 20 years after you abandoned humanity.
That's not me on Mars.
Oh?
It's a recording of me carrying out a series of predetermined patterns, like a computer program.
It's a decoy so that people think it's you on Mars.
Exactly.
Then where have you been for the past 20 years?
On Europa. It's a moon of Jupiter.
Oh, that Europa.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And tonight we'll be reviewing Watchmen Season 1, Episode 8, A God Walks Into a Bar.
A bar, not a bar.
Admiral Akbar?
Yeah, exactly. The synopsis for this episode is very short and sweet. It's just Angela's mysterious past in Vietnam is at last revealed.
Awesome.
So what did you think, Mark?
Well, my first take, I love this episode. So there was so much to learn where Angela was coming from the whole time about heroes and what she does. It also explains why she was so silent, just finding out about her love of Dr. Manhattan. We saw this through this episode, what they did and why she did what she did. Now in the next episode, we will find out what the outcome is.
Yeah, this episode was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I loved it. And we'll get into it when we get to our top 5 for sure. Damon Lindelof has captured, for me anyway, it's been a while since I read the trade, so he really has captured this character incredibly well. And I've got a lot in my top 5 just specifically the characterization and how this episode was done, and just everything was just so good. And I'm hoping his name is pronounced Yaya, the man playing Cal / Dr. Manhattan, is just great. They superb.
Yeah, he did a great job. I loved it. Just the way he spoke, everything. I was amazed at this. So I think we should get to our top 5.
Absolutely.
So you start off because last week I started off.
Yes. So I just want to start off with the very beginning of the episode. We see Dr. Manhattan wearing a Dr. Manhattan mask. As he's walking through the streets, he bends down and he picks up that mask. Now, we don't know for sure that it's Dr. Manhattan because as we go through the episode, we see other people kind of painted blue and stuff. And so when he sits down in the restaurant, or before he sits down, Angela's not actually sure that it's him. She just thought it was another guy who was kind of dressed up as Dr. Manhattan. So she's kind of like giving this guy, it was almost just like he was trying to pick her up, and she's just like, I just want to have a drink at the end of the day, but it's to see him wearing the mask, I thought was, and actually they kept showing him. I thought it was real clever what they did with the camera angles there at the beginning, because they never really pan up on him anyway. So we see his hands, we see his suit, and we see the bottom of his mouth. We see the bottom of the mask and see that he's painted blue, but we don't see all of him until much later in the episode.
Oh, definitely.
So I just thought that was great, the way he wore that mask over his face.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We love the idea that, within this episode, we realize that Dr. Manhattan's been here all the time. And honestly, to me, I was like, what the?
Mm-hmm.
And all the information is thrown out at us. But the fact that Angela is approached by him and he said he's in love with her and they already know this. It's so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's like a true love story, but through the test of time. I like it.
Sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And my number 5, that would be the whole interaction between Dr. Manhattan and Angela. The fact that he knew everything before she stated it. Just like I said before. It predicted the events of their meeting and the outcome that we see in the episode. It seemed all set up from the get-go. The actor that played Dr. Manhattan was great in the actual bar with the mask and everything else and doing everything to persuade Angela. And, he wasn't really physically there. If you watch the actual episode, all you see is the mask. All you see is the nuances of his motions and his voice. That was very, very well done.
Yeah, and seeing her reactions to it throughout the whole episode is just great. And realizing that really that whole episode is told from that point of view.
Yeah.
Of the two. I mean, until we get to the very end when he says this is the moment, when she's taking the guns out of the cabinet, I think up until that point, well, even no, it is right there at the end.
Yeah.
Because the episode ends with her saying that she'll go to dinner with him. So the whole episode, in reality, is contained in that environment. It's a wonderful, and I've got later on in my notes, I've got more about it, but it's just a wonderful storytelling technique. In my opinion, anyway, it's just a wonderful storytelling technique to see this told out through this kind of back and forth perspective of her asking questions and then him answering some questions but not answering everything. And that leads right into my number 4, which is, and I don't normally do this, so I went back and I looked at who the writers were, who the director was, and
awesome.
the name of the writer was Jeff Jensen. He co-wrote it with Damon Lindelof. And you can tell there had to be a lot of collaboration between, I'm assuming anyway, there had to be a lot of collaboration between the two of them in writing this episode, because Jeff Jensen did not have a lot of writing credits. So I'm sure they worked together with it. And then also they had to work with Nicole Cassell, who directed this episode. And as you mentioned, and I wrote the man's name down, so if I get it wrong, I'm going to apologize now. But Yahya Abdul Mateen II is the name of the actor who's playing Cal / Dr. Manhattan. And it was just phenomenal the way they developed this character, the way his speech patterns were, the way, he has to talk in such a way to where when he's in that scene with Adrian Veidt and he's going back and forth between 3 different time periods, but he's explaining it as if he's existing in all of them at the same time. And then when she talks to him, it gave me chills because it was so well done when Angela talks to him about fear. And she says, when was the last time you were afraid? And he says, when I walk into the tachyon accelerator to get my watch.
Yeah.
And you realize at that moment that he's always afraid because he is living in every moment of his life from that point forward. The only break he gets is this 10-year break here where he doesn't know what happens. When she asks her, well, why did it end? Why? And he's like, I don't, or she says, like, what happens in between? What leads us to there? What happens to get us here? And he's like, I don't know. He says, I have a gap. And that gap is from the moment they put that ring in until that ring was taken out.
Yeah.
And you realize that he's telling her the story of what he knows of it, which is everything before that ring is put in and everything after that ring was taken out, because he tells her, you're going to try to save me and you're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
And then when they have that moment when he says, when she's taking the, like I said, it was so amazing. You talk about the love story. The love story of this episode is just when she's taking the guns out of the cabinet and he's like, this is the moment. He says 10 years ago, you asked me when the moment was. This is the moment now. Because for him, every moment is it happening at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And you can tell and I love Regina King plays it amazing as well, because she comes right back at him with, is this supposed to be romantic? And he's like, it's just truth. And it was just wonderful. This whole episode, I can't wait. I wanted to watch this episode multiple times. I only got a chance to watch it twice since we're the way we're recording, or when we're recording.
Same
this.
here.
But I am gonna watch it again before next Sunday, because there's so much in it that
there's so much information that we just don't know. But the thing is the acting is great.
Oh, it's amazing. Like this I didn't think it could get better, and it did. So
yeah, exactly. And I love the effect that Regina King does within this.
Yeah.
Like the way she was able to portray Angela. It's like, all right, hon, time to wake up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like she knew. And the fact that he comes alive at that point, but we don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that she has that symbol that we get from Adrian Veidt. So that leads me to my number 4, which would be finding out that Dr. Manhattan was the one that came up with the clones where Adrian Veidt was left. Plus finding out that Adrian Veidt wanted to be there, though Dr. Manhattan stated that Adrian wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah, that was a strange scene when we get that, because we've been speculating this whole time, who sent him there, why is he there, and we come to find out that he chose to be put there.
Yeah.
That he wanted to be put there, and now we understand when he says, "Oh well, I came here thinking it was a paradise, and then found out that it was a prison." And yeah, it's still the stuff with Jeremy Irons is just crazy.
Yeah, it is. But he created his own prison. If you think about it, Adrian Veidt created that. He wanted that lavish lifestyle.
He thought that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
But he, what I think is interesting is he comes to the same conclusion that Dr. Manhattan came to. That, Dr. Manhattan says, I can't stay there because all they want to do is love me. Mm-hmm. And I need more than that. And when Adrian Veidt starts out there, and it seems, if I calculated this right, I've got it later in my notes, he's there for, by the time we are finding out about this, he's been there 5 years. So, because it's each episode was a year, that was 4, and then the trial lasted a year, and then we see him in that prison in that post-credit scene when he gets the horseshoe and he starts trying to dig his way out of the prison. So I'm assuming that means he's been there 5 years. So if time is running the same as as it ran on Earth, then he's still got 5 more years to get caught up to 2019 is in my calculation. So I think it's just, yeah, it's just, this show just, it's wonderful in answering questions and then giving us more questions to ask. So
yeah, it's wonderful in amazing ways.
Yeah, that leads to my number 3.
Yes.
And I talked about it a little bit, but I want to particularly talk about just the manner and the order of this episode. And my last point, I talked about the writing, but here I want to kind of focus on the editing a little bit, because I think the editing is done really, really well here. They switch basically between like 3 and 4 different timelines, and we're getting it from Dr. Manhattan's perspective on each of them. And just as they edited that together, and I loved in fact, how it was edited when they're talking about her favorite song. And he says, well, your favorite song is about to come on the jukebox, and it's Tunnel of Love, and she's like, no, this is not my favorite song. And then you get the reason why it becomes her favorite song, because then she's like, well, you're trapped in a tunnel, and then at the end she's like, it's time to come out of the tunnel. And so we realize that to him, yes, she doesn't know it's her favorite song yet. Is the thing, which I thought was just absolutely brilliant in the way that was written, because he says it's your favorite song, and she says, no, it's not my favorite song. And he's like, well, no, it's not your favorite song yet. It's going to be. And I looked up, again, I don't normally do this, I looked up the man who edited this episode was named Hank Van Egan, and he's done a lot. Like, his editing credits were extensive. I want to say he had like 70 something editing credits on his IMDb page. He did 10 episodes of The Leftovers, which we know Damon Lindelof was the creator of that show as well. So obviously he's worked well with Damon Lindelof as well. So just this the editing of this program, it was just amazing to me. Again, the way they interwove these different storylines together, and then at the end bringing them all back.
Yeah, I love that. It's so amazing, and the way that Lindelof does it.
So, what was your number 3?
My number 3. Well, that would be the whole Adam and Eve in Europa. The clones based upon the people that John encountered in the castle. They are the people he wanted to represent Adam and Eve in his own absolute thought and construction. But something that Adrian seems to want to destroy at the same time through his imprisonment or his own personal exile.
Yeah, that's another one of those things that I thought was really kind of cool, the way they played that, in that you know, he as a child, he sees this couple having sex, and that's ingrained in their human bodies are ingrained in him. So when he says he created his own life, his own Garden of Eden, because he gets that Bible, and he thinks the Bible is fictional, and he says, when I created my life, I didn't create it in my image, I created it in their image. And so that's why all the clones are of these two, the Crookshanks. I'm assuming that was their name on Earth.
I think so.
And it was funny. I think I was reading in the trivia or in the goofs or something for this episode that somebody put it as just a point that the woman has tan lines, and so if she's just been newly created, she wouldn't have tan lines. And I really wanted to go into IMDb and correct it and say, no, she was created in the image that he had in his head of her. So I think it was probably planned out for her to have the tan lines of a one-piece bathing suit, because that's what someone of that era would have. Yeah. The tan, and that's what he created. That's the image that he created her in, so she would have those tan lines. So I think that's was completely on purpose of the costuming or makeup or whoever did that. But yeah, it is amazing that he created them, but as Adrian pointed out in an earlier episode, he didn't create them with any purpose. They don't have, and that's why Adrian just treats them like dolls, treats them like nothing. And that's really what he's guilty of there at the end, is of not caring about them. So this brings us to my number 2.
Yes.
Okay, so I as I was watching this and I was really trying to work out the timeline in my head, I realized that it's when Dr. Manhattan is having the conversation with Angela in the bar, he says, in 6 months, you're going to tell me to leave. And then he talks about them having sex, and she's like, doesn't sound like I'm telling you to leave. He goes, no, just wait. And then we get the story of 6 months from now, she tells him to leave. He goes and he visits Adrian Veidt, who is still living in his Antarctica fortress, and he walks in, and I kind of love that interaction there when he says, well, how did you know it was me? Adrian. Adrian says, because Dr. Manhattan is the only man who would show up here naked. And he's like, would you like me to put some clothes on? He's like, well, I would prefer it, and so I thought that was a funny, but also at the same time though, he's talking to Adrian and he's talking to Angela in the bar, even though they're 6 months apart, because he says, oh, someone just told me I have a lot of imagination, and you just told me I have a lack of imagination. And for him, it was all happening at the same time, even though it was 6 months apart. And I thought this is cool too, because this is the only, so far anyway, this is the only interaction we have had between Jeremy Irons and any of our other characters.
Exactly. Yeah, it was the first that we see him interacting with anybody, just like you said. And the fact that it is, of all people, Dr. Manhattan. And John was, according to the comic, to be played as the evil one,
Well, that was what Adrian was trying to paint him as.
Yes.
Was the evil one, you know. And yet, so that's it is an interesting point that here is Adrian appealing to him, and I'll talk about it a little bit when we get to my number one. What is your number two?
Well, my number two would be the fact that John knows everything that happens and yet still happens. He's trapped time and all the actions that he creates, but can't change them because he knows they have to be fulfilled from the time he met Angela and took her in his heart till the present, which he knows is a quote-unquote tragedy.
Yeah, that's another one of those moments in the bar there where she says, "Why would I be with you if it's all going to end in tragedy?" And then he says a line, I don't have it in our quotes, but he says something like, "Doesn't all love end in tragedy, or doesn't all life end in tragedy?" And she kind of goes, well, and you could see that's the line where she's starting to soften to him, because she realizes that everything does eventually end in tragedy. Unfortunately, that's so much of a truth.
Yeah,
at least in shows. So.
True.
So my number one. Okay, so this is what I got from this, is that Adrian's original plan A was this device that he has that is supposed to subjugate Dr. Manhattan's presence in his brain. And it seems a little, because he says, Dr. Manhattan says, well, you've just blown me up. He says, what do you remember, John, or what is it? He says, you've just blown me up. And he says, yeah, that was plan B. Plan A was this device that's supposed to, push you out to where you don't know that you're Dr. Manhattan, which seems a little bit of a stretch to me, but I'll go with it. I'll give it to him, maybe, because what would Adrian have done if he had been able to somehow slap that ring on Dr. Manhattan's forehead in 1985? What would he have done? Then now you have this blue man who doesn't know he's a god. And so that fact that he says that was plan A is a little bit, but it explains a few things to us. It explains why he didn't know who he was. It explains why he didn't use his powers except as a reflex, because we get that whole where he flashes back himself when Adrian says, well, you won't use your powers unless your life is threatened, and you do it as a reflex. And so we find out what happened to the other 7th Cavalry member in Angela's house on the Dark Knight, is that that's what happened to him. He had that reflex action, and he called on his powers even though he didn't know he had him. And I'm going to tie these in together because my number one is really all about Dr. Manhattan. I think it shows us that if you read the comic book, he has the relationship, and I can't remember the woman before Laurie that he had the relationship with, the one who he's with when he becomes Dr. Manhattan. and then he's with Lori, and those whole time, I don't think he ever in the comic book says that he loves them. He's just with them because that's the person that he's with at that time. I think he truly loved Angela because he was willing to take this sacrifice. He was willing to do whatever it took to be with her, even if that meant suppressing his superpowers. And that, to me, is just an amazing love story right there. That idea that he was willing to suppress all that. They didn't, she didn't fall in love with Cal and then he became Dr. Manhattan and then went back to being Cal. She fell in love with Dr. Manhattan. And Dr. Manhattan fell in love with her because she was because of that moment when she's getting those guns, and she's going to do everything in her power to save him, even though he's telling her it's not going to work. That's the moment when he fell in love with her. And then that moment, because he lives all these moments at the same time, that's the moment that he is willing to sacrifice his omnipotence. And that just really gave me chills when I started to think about that he really did love her.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. And that's what I got out of it. And that will lead me to my number one, right?
Yeah, that's your number one.
Yeah, my number one would be Adrian Veidt giving John, Dr. Manhattan, a way of being human. Now this is coming out, and he has to be again because Angela beat it out of John's body, quote unquote. Now I'm hoping we see Dr. Manhattan do what he does best. I think this will be the end of the world, but a new one in Europa.
Ooh, that's an interesting theory. We can explore that a little bit.
Yeah.
That is interesting if something happens that ends, that life on Earth ends, and they go to, and Dr. Manhattan somehow takes them all to Europa to live in this, whatever, that's an interesting theory of how the season could end. I don't know if that is that's a little out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really cautiously optimistic that Damon Lindelof is going to be able to stick this landing. I mean, he's not J.J. Abrams. It's not Lost. So I think he's grown since Lost. He's gotten better. So I think we're going to get a really good episode here this coming Sunday when it all comes to an end. And I'm excited to see how it is going to end.
I hope he makes it at least 2 hours.
Yeah, I think I looked at IMDb, and IMDb already shows it only being like an hour and 7.
Darn it.
So sorry, man. Didn't mean to burst your bubble.
I don't look at those things.
I've only got one quote here, and it was just, I chuckled every time when he claimed to be Dr. Manhattan, and Angela looked at him and said, "Is this a Zeus thing?" Because that was the whole Greek mythology. Zeus would come down and be a different animal so he could interact with humans. I thought that was cool.
I love that. That's a great idea because he thinks he's so above humans. Adrian Veidt, Ozymandias. Oh my goodness. All right. So, do we have any quotes?
I just gave mine.
You gave
What
yours.
was yours?
That's right.
Yep.
Mine would be Dr. Manhattan. Haven't you done anything you knew you weren't going to regret? And then Angela says, in regarding the attack in Vietnam.
Yeah, that was another one of those interesting scenes where that kind of back and forth with him, that you could definitely see that romance developing.
Yeah, that's how it really started. And then I have one where, how did you know I was on Europa? And Adrian Veidt goes, let's just say a little elephant told me. That's a good thing because we saw a little elephant last episode.
Yeah, and the whole Lady True, the logo for Lady True's company is an elephant head. So I wonder if we're gonna see how those two play together. So
yeah, I'm curious because there's a lot going on in this show. Oh my goodness. My The only additional note that I would have based upon what's going on in this episode would be the Bible that was given to John in the scene when the couple from the castle that takes in John and his father, it's as if it was seeded into him to make his own version of Adam and Eve on another planet.
Yeah.
He had envisioned this.
Yeah, well, they made him promise. Remember, it was really kind of an interesting scene with them not having any clue what he was going to become, because they said, "We want you to create something beautiful," and he says, "Oh, I will. I'll create something beautiful out of this." Because remember that's the whole thing that they're telling him. They're trying to kind of explain sex to him, and they're like, "Well, we were creating something beautiful, and so we want you someday to create something beautiful." So yeah, I thought,
and they're on Visage. It made sense. Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes, and I think we've talked about just about everything that that I had, except a couple of things that I thought was interesting. Is just in that final fight scene when, even though they know that he knows he's going to be captured, but yet he still, like you said, he doesn't change anything. He knows what's going to happen. He comes out and he just does it. But there was one, and I hope it's not just a throwaway line. I hope it ends up becoming important, but I don't know why it's important. When he's on the water, on the pool, he says, "It's important for you to see me on the pool." And I don't know if that, that might be just a simple throwback to when they're talking in the restaurant, and he says that someone's going to become me or something like that, and she says, "Well, can you do?" Oh no, that's when he's talking about if he can have children or not, and he says, I would never pass on my powers to someone without their consent."
Yes.
And she says, "Can you do that?" And he goes, "Well, if I was pulverized or whatever, and then was reduced to a paste that someone could ingest, they could become me." And she says the whole thing about the egg. She says, "So if you put yourself in this egg, I could then eat the egg, and you would become me, and I'd be able to walk on water." That's what she says to him. She says, "I'd become you, and I'd be able to walk on water."
Ooh.
So I don't know if that's going to place some sort of importance into because I just can't believe that Damon Lindelof, they would put this throwaway line in there of him saying, "It's important for you to see me on the water." And
yeah, exactly.
So that's I'm interested to see where that goes and if it does. So
yeah, that's definitely a good pull from that. I love that idea, and the fact that he does walk on water in that pool, and she sees him do that, and she brought that up beforehand.
Yeah,
like years.
So that's why maybe it's just a callback to what she said in the restaurant, but I think there's got to be something more to that line. So
I agree. Oh, maybe it's one of the kids.
Maybe, or we'll see. Yeah, I'm. We only got one episode left.
Yeah.
It's almost over, Mark.
I know. Oh my goodness. What are we gonna do?
So in comic talk, you and I were talking a little bit before we started recording about the CW is doing with their DC shows. They're doing a 5-episode crossover of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I believe the order is we have Supergirl. Supergirl aired Sunday night, December 8th. Batwoman aired Monday, December 9th. I believe we're recording this on Tuesday. I think Black Lightning is...
Nope.
No. Which one is tonight?
Tonight is Flash.
Flash. Okay.
So tonight is Flash. They eliminated Black Lightning from the actual Crisis.
Oh, did they?
But he does show up within Crisis, from what I'm told.
Okay.
But I watched Supergirl. I watched Batwoman, and oh my goodness,
I just finished watching Supergirl before we started recording. I haven't watched Batwoman yet. So I have a question, though.
Sure.
About a couple of things that I'm trying to understand. They're throwing out all these numbers. forgive me because I've only watched the first one, Supergirl, and that's really the only.
Sure.
I watched a little bit of Arrow many years ago, so I don't know anything about these shows. Literally nothing. Earth 1. They keep designating Earth 1, Earth 38, Earth 64, Earth whatever, Argo City, whatever number. Is Earth 1, is that supposed to be like the main Earth that we know of? Or
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's the main quote-unquote Earth. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is that you see Alexander Knox from 1989, Batman, and his Earth is destroyed. You see Burt Ward as 66 Earth, quote-unquote, because it's 1966 Batman, which is Robin.
Right. And I think those were just cameos. I don't think those were.
They definitely were.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then on top of that, you have Earth 1, supposedly, Batman, which was Kevin Conroy, and Batwoman, I should say. Sorry. Batwoman. And the way they did that was so dark.
Go ahead.
No, it came from Kingdom Come. And Kingdom Come, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, all that in the comics.
Right.
At that point, Batman has become almost like a god. And at that point, he destroyed Superman. And in this
Okay,
visage,
but that's all the comic book, right?
Yes.
I want to focus on the TV show because that's the only thing I know.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm concentrating on the comic, on
Right.
the actual TV. So the comic has Superman as his own world, where it's his own Kryptonian. That would be in Metropolis. Whereas Batman in the comic book, he had his own Gotham, and they were all gods within their own towns. And in the show, at this point, from my understanding, is that Kingdom Come Batman had killed Kingdom Come Superman in his own world. And
I'm lost already.
I know you're
On this
lost, dude.
thing.
It's crazy.
Because I'm okay. So
there's so many worlds.
yeah, and that's the thing, and I mean that was the whole reason why they created the trade originally. Anyway, was to get rid of some of these, from what I understand. And
Yeah.
Marvel did something similar. But back to the TV show. Okay,
Sure.
because I'm watching and I'm trying to understand because Erica Durance, who I absolutely loved in Smallville.
Oh yeah.
Played Lois Lane in Smallville, but she
Mhm.
plays, now she's Kara's mother in Supergirl,
Correct.
the TV show, right? So
Yes.
she was there in Argo City with the Supergirl TV show Batman, the Supergirl TV show Lois Lane, and the child of Superman.
Jonathan Kent.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jonathan Kent, who is the child of Supergirl Superman and Supergirl Lois Lane, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and so when they show up in that episode and they say your mother was killed, they're talking about the Erica Durance character, Ara Zor-El or whatever.
Yeah.
Kara's
From
mother,
Argo City.
right, in Supergirl, right, in
Exactly.
the Supergirl universe. Okay, Whew. Okay, that was the first thing that confused me. Because I recognized Erica Durance right away, and I was like, "Wait a minute, isn't she Lois Lane from Smallville?" But okay, but she's
that's the whole common consensus about this. Is a lot of people are confused. I actually had to explain it to my coworker today.
okay.
So basically, you have multiple universes. You're gonna have people of the same character. Like you could see Tom Welling's Smallville's Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
You could see Tyler Hoechlin's version of Superman.
Right.
You could also see Brandon Routh's version of Superman, which was
Not the one
according
from the
to-
movie, not the one he played in the movie.
Yes, it is.
But then Brandon Routh also plays a character in Supergirl.
as the Atom. Yes.
Right. So-
and that's why they go, "Hey, what are you doing
Yeah,
here?"
we're getting-
Oh no.
yeah, we're getting
Yeah.
because the actors are the same, but they're not playing the same characters as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Whew, this whole thing is going to be. By the time this is
So-
done, we may have to do a whole episode on what we what these
Yeah,
shows.
yeah. A
But-
lot of you guys, if you haven't been paying attention to CW, what's going on is multiple Earths. There could be people that look like other people that are other characters. So what's going on is that Brandon Routh can be the Atom, and that particular character that plays the Atom, as well as Kingdom Come's version of Superman, which eventually came from the Richard Donner version of Christopher Reeve in Superman 1, 2, and 3, and 4, as well as Superman Returns, which Brandon Routh actually played. So we have that Superman.
right. Okay.
And then on top of that, we have Kevin Conroy's version of a Batman that is evil because he's gone south. So according to a lot of people out there, that is mostly like fans like myself of the Batman the Animated Series, which Kevin Conroy had voiced Batman, has gone even darker than he was. He reduced Clayface to a puddle of mud. And that's what Batwoman encountered and realized that she is a key factor of that Gotham
Okay.
attitude, And then on top of that, we have Tyler Hoechlin, who actually battled against Kingdom Come Superman, but they came to some sort of an agreement at certain points.
Is that
if
in
you
the
watch
TV
the
show?
episode?
Or
Yes.
Is that in the which TV show?
If you watch Batwoman.
Okay. I haven't
They
watched
actually meet. Yeah, you gotta watch it, dude. So we got that. On top of that, we have Green Arrow dying, but he's brought back through the Lazarus Pit, which a lot of people don't know. If you read the comics and you go through everything, yes, Oliver Queen was brought back through the Lazarus Pits in the Crisis comic or the trade paperback.
But we haven't seen. Well, no, was that in the Batwoman episode last night?
Exactly.
Okay,
There's
yeah, I
a
haven't
lot
watched that.
going on, dude.
Yeah, I haven't watched
you
that
gotta
one
ki-
yet. I've got
you
to
gotta
catch up. So what we'll do is, so if I understand correctly, I was looking at the schedule of events. It looks like
Yeah.
so it was Supergirl Sunday night, Batwoman Monday night. Today's Tuesday. It's the Flash. And then when is part 4?
Part 4 would be Arrow.
So
from what I
that's the
understand.
Arrow that's not going to air until January.
Is it?
I believe if I looked up correctly, that's the Arrow that's not gonna air until January. So this
There might be a Legends of Tomorrow.
hold on, I'll tell you because I was just looking.
Take
it
a
up.
look,
I was
man.
just looking it up
Yeah.
the other day because Arrow. Hold on, let me up here. Season 8. Yes, the Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 4 titled is Episode 8 of Season 8 of Arrow, which is not airing until January 14th, 2020. So we're getting these 3 parts and then nothing else on Crisis until January. And then I think January is, I don't know what the part 5 is going to be. I don't know if that's going to be.
darn it.
We'll have
Black
to,
Lightning, who knows?
we'll have to find out. Yeah, where part 5 is. So so once I get these 3 watched that are in it, then we can talk more about Crisis, specifically with the TV show. So
Yeah, and also listen to DC Primetime, listen to Ben Beck, and they have
Absolutely.
more information, honestly. Ben is more up to it. Me, I just am just a watcher, and I love this.
Yes.
And I don't want to be Watu.
yeah, no,
from
but
the Marvel
definitely
series.
we tell everybody, recommend. Yeah, I just listened to their episode, their DC Primetime episode that led up to the Crisis starting from last week. I listened to that one the other day, so I'm looking forward to hearing their breakdown of these 3 episodes. I think they're doing one episode covering all 3 of these shows in this week. I think that's what he said they're doing. So
That'd be amazing. So yeah, go listen to DC Primetime on the Next Level Podcast Network, and listen to Ben Beck. Send in feedback if you have any information that you want to divulge or your thoughts and theories, because I did. And I love these shows. I just love watching them as they come by. And I sent in Ben a couple of feedbacks regarding non-spoilery, obviously, but just send in your feelings about the shows because they're amazing. And I never got into Arrow. I watched the first season. I could not get into it, but as soon as they had Barry Allen, I had to get into it, and I started watching Flash after episode 3, and I was just brought in completely. And I love Flash. I love Legends. I love Supergirl. I actually had to watch that when it first came out and when it was originally on another channel, not on the CW. And when they brought it onto the CW, I was so happy because, great, now we have something. And they're completing everything that they started within Flash, because if you watch the first season of Flash, they talk about Crisis. And I said it last week. Yes, you need to watch season 1 of Flash and continue to watch. And if you binge watch, that would be amazing to go through. But there's so much in between that's going on that, pertains to Crisis. But they did last minute changes within the script for Crisis. And they had to move it forward faster because they were ending Arrow. So if you watch the first episode of Supergirl this season, you do see Oliver Queen die, but yet he comes back. So
wait, he died in Supergirl? He died last night in Supergirl.
That was Batwoman.
No, Sunday night. I literally just watched Sunday night Supergirl.
Oh, okay,
episode.
yeah.
That's where he died.
Yeah.
That's the first episode of Supergirl this year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not the first episode of Supergirl this year.
Oh, the first episode of Crisis.
Of Crisis,
right?
yes.
Okay, now I'm tracking. Okay, you lost me a second because I was trying to figure out what you.
I'm trying to go in the frame of mind of Crisis. At this point.
No. In the first episode of Crisis, by the time you guys hear this, you should have already seen it. It's not a spoiler.
Exactly.
Really. But then, like you said, in Batwoman, I haven't watched Batwoman yet, so.
Batwoman's amazing, and I recommend it highly. A lot of people hated it. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally I'm going to be honest with you. I am not even going to try to go back and watch the other previous seasons of these shows.
Oh, don't.
I am literally just watching Crisis. I'm just DVRing these Crisis episodes. And
that's the cool thing about this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this to all you listeners. That's the cool thing about these crossovers. You don't necessarily have to watch previous seasons.
Yeah.
You could just watch the actual crossover episodes. They had one last year, which was a major crossover, which we had Captain Cold, we had, what was it? I forget Rory's name, but he is the Heat in Legends of Tomorrow, and they have a whole thing about Nazis and everything else and all different worlds that leads up to this. So if you watch the miniseries of the crossovers, it's amazing because you could just watch all the crossovers and not have to watch anything in between.
I'm excited for it. I think we should do a whole episode on just the Crisis stuff. I don't care about the other stuff. So.
Oh wow, we're crossing. Then we have to get Ben Beck on this because Ben would love to be on it.
Well, he may be all Crisis out by that time. So
I don't know. Yeah, I know Ben wants to talk about it as much as I do because I love this idea. Like I said to you guys, I love Flash. I've been watching it. I've been watching Legends of Tomorrow. I've been watching Supergirl. I'm not much of an Arrow fan. I'll watch key episodes. I will definitely watch key episodes of Arrow. But I tried and I could not get into it. I like Stephen. Stephen Amell is amazing as Arrow.
Like I said, I tried watching Arrow and couldn't get into it either. So
yeah,
I totally understand you there.
I like the idea and the ideal of Arrow, and it did well for several seasons. I think it had a few bad seasons, according to what Ben had told me, but I just could not get into it after season 1. And he goes, season 2 is amazing. And I'm knowing me, I'm probably just going to binge watch everything when I have a week off. And I'm just going to be like, oh, okay, I'll just watch. Oh, okay, I see where he was coming with that. Oh, yeah, that season was bad. But the thing is that these are great shows and they were great seasons. I was hoping for more because, honestly, we got the little. This is a little bit of a spoilery if you didn't watch last night's Batwoman, but they did have Danny Elfman's music from 1989 Batman, and that sent a chill down my spine. I love the idea that they got the go ahead, especially with Smallville when they had "Can You Save Me?" that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
let's
they did
hold
the whole
out. Let's
Smallville
hold out on
thing.
our talk about Crisis until let's do a whole episode because
All right, good.
I'm ready to wrap this up, man. I'm sorry.
All right, cool, dude.
Let's
No
go ahead and
problem.
wrap this. Let's plan to do a whole episode on just the Crisis. At least the 3 episodes we're gonna get this week on Crisis. Let's plan to do a whole episode on that.
Sure, and then we could probably lead into The Boys and our review of that.
Yeah. That's
At the same time.
Once Watchmen ends, Watchmen's going to end next week, so we're going to have a few weeks there break in between things. So,
Yeah.
all right, sounds good.
So we have a special thanks to Kirk Manley for our artwork for our podcast. Check out Kirk Manley on his website, which would be www.studiokm.com. Or you could see him on Twitter at BatmanKM. Or you could follow him on Instagram, which would be at BatmanKM. Check out his art at batmankm.deviantart.com. If you have something that you would like to hire Kirk for, you can email him at kirk@studiokm.com.
As always, we recommend other podcasts, anything on the Next Level Podcast Network, specifically DC Primetime. Also, the joint podcast between Podcastica and Next Level Network, which is Lost. We Have to Go Back, Lost Revisited, and we highly recommend TV Podcast Industries podcast. They are covering Watchmen. They covered The Boys last season. They are going to cover The Boys season 2 when it comes out as well. So Derek and the guys over at TV Podcast Industries are amazing. Yeah. And of course, Strange Indeed is a Podcastica podcast. They are doing season 2 of Castle Rock right now, and we recommend those. If you'd like to submit your feedback to us, you can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/panels2pixels. You can also email us at panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels2pixels1. The TO is spelled out right there in the middle with the number 1@gmail.com. Or you can call us and leave a voicemail at 845-350-2095. That's 845-350-2095. And you can hear us on many various podcast platforms, whatever podcast player you choose to use. If they allow you to give us a review, we do ask you give us a nice 5-star review. If you can type up some words in there and give us some nice things to say about us, that would be cool too. We will read those on air when we get them.
Yeah, definitely. And please send in that feedback if you can. And for those of you who want to hear me elsewhere, you can actually hear me on the Walking Dead Talk Through with Brian Meloche on the Talk Through Media Network. That would be talkthroughmedia.com. We review The Walking Dead each week. There will be a link for Talk Through Media for others to listen to as well. Listen to us on talkthroughmedia.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are currently working on a lot of things. Right now, I believe Brian's working on the Picard cast as well as Star Trek Discovery podcast as well. So keep in touch there or here or through talkthroughmedia.com on its website. And there is a feedback post there too that you could actually link to and send feedback with.
Yes, next week will be our last episode for Watchmen. It will be Watchmen Season 1, Episode 9. I don't have the title in front of me. No, that's not what the title is. I don't actually have the title in front of me. But we'll put up a feedback post for that on our Facebook page, and please use that to send us any of your feedback.
Yeah, definitely. Send some feedback if you can. If not, keep listening. We love you. And that will be for tonight, basically. Thanks for everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels. Good night, everybody.
Good night.